Well, guys, welcome to chapter 4 of why I chose Ho Chi Minh City to live. It's been a great book so far. You're about halfway through, and I enjoyed writing it. I hope you enjoy listening to it. Now, if you want to actually read the book, it is available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can also get an audio-only version on Spotify. All the links and information is below in the comments of this YouTube video. Thanks, guys. Enjoy chapter 4. Chapter 4, My Life in Vietnam. Mention Ho Chi Minh City to any Vietnamese person in the world, and the first thing they will say is food. My first experience of local cuisine was, of course, pho. Whilst many other dishes are famous in Ho Chi Minh City, pho, or the southern variety of pho, is a very popular dish that is eaten at any time of the day by locals. It was mid-afternoon, and I stepped off a tour bus from Cu Chi Tunnels. My local friend suggested we try some real local food. As I was totally lost, I just trusted her, and we followed her down a lane, just wide enough for 2 motorbikes. We took a left, then a right, and found ourselves in the middle of a crowded lane, with small stools and tables lining the old concrete roadway. In a house, an elderly lady was working over a big pot. There was movement everywhere as the sights and sounds began to overwhelm me. At this point, my mind turned to my dreams of what Ho Chi Minh City would be like, and I smiled with the realization that it was so much better than I could have expected. Then, with water at my feet from the recent rainstorm and a thin plastic awning overhead, I sat at a small blue plastic table and watched a hot bowl of chicken pho gently come to a stop in front of me. I couldn't touch it. For a moment, I just breathed in and thought to myself, I am in Ho Chi Minh City. After my mind returned to reality, I was faced with one challenge. How the hell do you eat this food? Luckily, with my local friend to guide me, the preparation was not too difficult, and I was soon warming my rain-affected body with warm chicken pho. They say that pho can cure any ailment, and on that day, I think it cured the heart of a lost boy. I felt like I was at home, finally. A different food experience happened on my second visit to Vietnam. My girlfriend, Phuong, was at university. We had arranged to have dinner with her class at a famous goat restaurant in District 3 of Ho Chi Minh City. The food there is amazing, and the restaurant stands in the same place today, unchanged from my first visit in 2013. I was sitting with about 15 Vietnamese friends, ranging in age from mid-20s up to the senior guys, like Mr. Hai, who was around my age. They mostly spoke some English, and they went out of their way to make me feel welcome. I was in awe of their hospitality and spirit. After all, I was just a big white man from Australia, and they had no reason to be nice to me, other than their amazing characters and friendliness. The table was full of food, and the beers were coming out fast. It was an amazing time. Then, from behind me, I heard this shouting in Vietnamese. I panicked. I considered hitting the floor because running out the door was impossible due to the people around me. But I looked around and nobody gave it a second thought. Nobody turned to look. Everyone just kept drinking. In Australia, shouting in a bar or restaurant could only mean one thing, that a fight was about to happen. And if there was no fight, it would be a drunk person going into a rage and the police would be on the way. But not in Vietnam. Shouting versions of Mot Hai Ba Yo is a way to enjoy drinking together. And the louder and longer the shouting continues is directly related to the amount of beer consumed. Stupid me. There was no violence. It was a local group of boys having fun. And this would become my fun also, as that same night I was taught the process of drinking with the boys and drinking way too much while shouting Mot Hai Ba Yo at the top of my voice. On top of the food experiences that Ho Chi Minh City delivered, learning was a big part of my adventure, and my learning experience began at the War Remnants Museum in District 3. Do you ever feel alone in a crowded room? That statement ran through my mind as I stood for hours and looked and read about the stories of war that should never have been. I learned so much about the other side of war. For too long, I was dictated to by an unfair and biased view. Now I had the opportunity to see all the facts from the people who had no choice about being involved. Alone in a crowded room, I stood there in shock, then sadness, then anger, as the history unfolded before my eyes. I cried. I felt cold from the emotion that ran through my body. Some of the tears were very private, as I recall standing in the corner feeling ashamed that my people were involved in such horrors. This moment changed my life forever. But the War Remnants Museum was not the only place that confronted me with history. Cu Chi was something else entirely. Standing at the entrance of the tunnel network north of the city, looking down into a hole in the ground that a person of my size could barely fit through, trying to imagine what it meant to live there, to fight from there, to survive there, while the sky above was full of aircraft. That was one of the most quietly devastating experiences of my life. I crawled through a section of the tunnel with a group of tourists and came out the other side genuinely shaken. These people had survived things that I could not comprehend, not because they were superhuman, because they had no other choice. My father would have been somewhere above that ground. He would have been on the other side of that history. I thought about that as I stood in the heat, sweating and unsettled, and I understood something for the first time. The war was not an argument about politics. It was about people. People on both sides who had no real power to stop what was happening to them. It was my father above the ground. It was the Vietnamese family below, both of them trying to survive something they had not asked for. Every hour of every day of my first time in Ho Chi Minh City was a new experience and a new learning. From the Independence Palace to Duc Ba Church, the Saigon River, and monuments honouring heroes of the past, the constant influx of history and culture took me to a place in my life that I have never felt before. After 9 days, I sat at Tan Son Nhat Airport with one promise in my heart. I promised that this experience would not be the end of my love and appreciation for Ho Chi Minh City. Then, 1 year and 10 days later, I touched down in Ho Chi Minh City with 2 suitcases and a dream to give myself to Vietnam and live my dream. At first, there was no plan, and my expectation was that this adventure would not last more than about 6 months. But here I am, more than a decade later, still living in Ho Chi Minh City. I am now married, and I have achieved so many great things that went far beyond my dreams. Ho Chi Minh City is a city of the people. Many buildings line the streets. Traffic fills every open space, and the air is sometimes a little dirty. But the one thing that Ho Chi Minh City has that is unique is some of the most amazing, generous, and friendly people. These people taught me to forgive and how to stop looking back and look forward. They showed me what love really means, and when I needed it most, they offered me a smile and the hand of their friendship. The struggle of war and my past brought me to Vietnam, and now I see myself as one of the luckiest people in the world because I found Ho Chi Minh City. Whether it is a smile from a beautiful girl, a high five from a child, or mop hai ba yo from a stranger at a restaurant, this place is full of love, friendship, and peace.